Okay. Right. So today is the last lecture for you. Um, we complete all the topics which are necessary for you, right? As on a part of BDM project, right? So the last topic is something related to demand and supply. Okay. So this topic I'm not going to teach you basically on format of my voice is breaking for all.
No, sir, it's audible.
Yeah, I think there is some issue from uh, Ajit's side, right? Ajit, you can check your network, please. If it is breaking to you all, like, then do let me know. Okay. So I'm not going to teach you on a traditional way where I'm going to teach you the definitions, bookish definitions, right? So today we are going to discuss three cases, right? From three cases, I'll explain you the concept of demand supply. I'll take a example or case of live market where gold prices are changing, right? And last I'll take a example, something like a numerical part also it will cover, but that wind up your whole concept of demand and supply. All right, so it is that case I have taken from IPL, right? How the ticket prices are changing in IPL, and how the marginal cost or marginal utility or marginal, you can say equilibrium, market equilibrium plays an important role, all right? And then how demand and supply are coming into picture in that, okay? And how your the other concept which I'm going to introduce in economics today, right? Elasticity of demand and all, right? So they are going to include. So with that, is two case or three case studies I'm going to cover, and I'll explain you the concept. But before that, I'll just give you a brief about the topic about demand and supply. So in the last lecture, I have already discussed about what do you mean by a demand, right? So I think we have already covered the determinants of a demand, and law of demand also was covered, right? Can anyone let me know like what are the things I have covered? Okay, let me check. Okay, determinants of demand was completed. Fine. So let's understand the topic of uh, demand, right? Before going to the case where I will explain you how the demand and supply are coming into picture. Okay, so I have already covered and I have told you like demand is what is the relationship between your price and quantity, right? Demand is a relationship between your price and quantity of product demanded, right? So this is called demand. So there is a misconception amongst you, right? Most of you are thinking about the demand is something like it's a unit, it's a single variable. It is not a single variable. So if you can see, a demand is a function of your quantity demanded and your price, right? So I'll explain you this when I'm moving ahead, right? Don't worry about it. So what law of demand says? Law of demand says, so law of demand. What law of demand says? Law of demand says there is a negative or inverse relationship between whom, right? So it says there is a negative or inverse relationship between whom, right? Between how the prices and quantity of a demanded commodity, right? So if you want to buy services, right? So how the prices or quantity demanded varies, right? So as per the law of demand, they say it varies with respect to negative correlation or inverse relationship. Okay, what it means, first let me write. So between price and quantity demanded. Okay, so what it means, are you feeling my video is little bit lagging, or it is fine? Video or an audio? Okay, there is no lag, right? Great, great. No lag. Fine. Okay. So it's a negative law of demand says there is a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. Okay. So now coming to the point. So how it is visualized, right? So if it is visualized, if you are demanding or you are ordering more number of quantity of products, right? So it means if the volume of order or commodity or goods is increased, so the prices is going to be reduced, right? So if a person buy more number of goods or services, more number of goods or services, so in that condition the prices is going to be reduced. Whereas if he is buying less, so what happens? The prices increases, right? But what is happening in this particular scenario? Other things are constant. Other things are what we have studied the determinants of your demand, right? So other things are constant. Okay. So in that scenario, this law is valid. Other things are constant. Okay. So this is how the law of demand comes, and it represent the relationship between your price and quantity demanded. Now, coming to the assumptions of your law of demand. So, what are the assumptions you have? Assumptions. So, in this, I already mentioned other things are constant. It means there is no change in income. No change in income. Right? Consumer income should be constant. It should not change when you are purchasing the product or when you are buying the product, same product. Right? So, your income will not vary. Okay. So there is no change in consumer taste, no change in consumer taste. Right? This should also be constant. Price of other goods are not changing, right? So you can say the substitute prices are not changing. That are also constant. So price of other goods, no change. Okay, and there is no substitute of the good. When you're following or when you're learning the law of demand, you can say there is no substitute of a good, right? Because if there is substitute of good, then might be the case you are getting at a lesser price. They are giving you a sales or they are giving you a discount, right? So there is no substitute for the goods. Okay, so these are some of the assumptions. There are multiple assumptions. Maybe you can go through it, like what are the different assumptions they are having. Okay, so this is what the law of demand says. Now coming to the other concept, that is the demand schedule and demand curve. Demand schedule and demand curve. So what do you mean by demand schedule? demand schedule, right? So demand schedule is basically tabular formation of your how you are managing the things, right? So tabular statement, it's a tabular statement, okay, of what? Of your goods. Tabular statement of what? How many commodities demanded at different prices. Like suppose you are making a data sheet for your company, right? Or for a grocery store. So there are multiple commodities are there. Okay. So when you are making a record of that, or when you are making a statement for the commodities, right? How many commodities are demanded at different prices, right? So that is called your demand schedule, right? So suppose the serial number one, this is a price commodity A, right? Commodity A, this is a Q demanded of commodity A. Similarly, you can write a commodity B. Okay. So what exactly the price? One, two, three, four, right? What is the price at this particular quantity? What is demanded from the customer side? Suppose 10 units of some product is taking. What is the price for the 10 unit, right? So you are making a table for that. That is called a demand schedule. Now coming to the important point, that is a demand curve. Okay. So demand curve is very important. Okay. So demand curve. Okay. So what do you mean by the demand curve? Any idea? Anyone?
Excuse me, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Sir,
Please go ahead.
demand curve is a curve with respect to supply. I mean, how supply changes and demand changes together when other things are constant. The study
Okay.
of
Yeah.
demand.
That's basically you can say a graphical representation. Okay. Downward slope. So this is a characteristic of demand curve, right? Downward slope is what? It's a characteristic. How it is behaving, that is something like a characteristic. Okay. So demand curve, if we can understand the concept of a demand curve, what the demand curve means. Okay. So the demand curve is basically a graphical representation of your, you can say, a quantity demanded at a different prices. Okay. So you have understood like demand is a function of quantity and price. Now if you want to plot this, okay, you want to plot this relationship. So how it is coming? It is, since we have studied, it's a linearly and it's varying in a inversely. Inverse relationship is there. So it is coming like this. Suppose I'm just making a plot. Okay. So this whole curve, okay, I'll use other color, represents, suppose this is a price and this is your quantity demanded. Okay. So there is a difference between the demand and the quantity demanded. I'll explain you this going forward, right? So this represents the demand, right? What it represents, the demand. Okay. So this curve represent, whole curve is representing a demand. Demand is not something, a point which has certain this thing, single variable, right? So it is basically, if you can see here, so this curve represent your demand. So this is your demand where the prices and quantities are varying at every single point. Okay. So whole curve is represent the demand which is mapped with the price and quantity demanded. If you consider this point, the quantity is this much. Okay. So this coordinate is showing you the demand. This point will show you the demand of the goods or services. Similarly, here also if you are coming, okay. So this point is showing the demand at this particular location, which is a combination of your profit and your quantity demanded. Okay. So in a demand curve, how many you can say variations will be there? Demand variations are there. How many you can say combinations are there for a demand?
Excuse me, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So the first case could be that the demand is same for constant period. Demand is rising. Demand is dropping according to the sales and other constant terms.
So in this curve, like if you can see, I'm asking in this curve, how many points you can consider which show you the demand?
Infinite.
Correct. There are infinite points. Every single point is showing you the coordinates. Suppose this is your P1 and this is your T1, right? So this is showing the demand. So this is your D1, demand for this point. Sorry. So there are infinite points in the plot, in the curve, demand curve, right? From where you can extract the information. It will show you the demand at that particular point. Okay. So as per the law of demand, if the price is reduced, the quantity demanded will increase. So now try to understand the difference between the demand and the quantity demanded. So demand is a function which represents the relationship between the quantity demanded and your profit. But from this plot, if you can say, you can get directly, some of students are assuming that Q is the demand, but Q is not a demand. Q is basically a quantity demanded, how many units you want, right? If you are purchasing something, if you are purchasing a X, or if you are purchasing tomatoes, so how many tomato you want, right? How many unit of tomatoes are there? That will be shown with this particular point, or with this particular point. So it will not show you, it will not tell you the demand. So the specific point, a specific point on demand will give you what? Will give you the quantity demanded, how much quantity you want. So we'll give you quantity demanded. Fine, it is clear. Yeah, I think, yeah,
Excuse me, sir.
I should.
Sir, the y-axis in our demand curve is this profit?
Correct. It will tell you the profit. So this is basically, it's not a profit, it's a price. So we are seeing a relationship between the price and quantity demanded, right? So if the prices are dropping, your quantity will change. So based on the price, you can calculate the profit, because you know the total revenue, right? From total revenue, you can calculate the profit. So this is representing only the price and quantity demanded. Okay. So did you understand what exactly the quantity demanded means now? Okay. So now I'm going to summarize this. So demand is what? Demand is equal to the whole curve. Whatever the curve is there, this whole curve is called the demand curve. Okay. So this is basically your demand. So whole curve, right? Where all prices, where all prices and quantity demanded combinations are there. Okay. Whereas quantity demanded is what? quantity demanded is a one point on the curve. Is the one is a one point on the demand curve, right? So it's a one point we are considering on a demand curve. Suppose we are considering this point. So if you are projecting it towards the x-axis, the quantity demanded will be this much unit. Okay. Now coming to the next concept. So is it clear to you all? Now coming to the next concept. Yeah. So coming to the next concept, that is a shift in demand curve. So there are two things happening in the demand curve or in any of the curve. One is a shift and another is a moment. Okay. So shift in demand curve. Non-pricing effect. Non-pricing effects. So what are the other parameters? What are the other effects are there which is going to shift your whole curve, right? So what are the other parameters are coming into the picture? Suppose I'm giving you an example. Suppose the parameter comes is an increase in income. Increase in income. So if your income increase, so your original curve was something price and quantity demanded. So this was your initial curve, right? Now, since your income is increased, so this is demand curve D. Now, since your income is increased, you are purchasing, suppose P1. So this was the price, and this is the quantity you are purchasing. Now, since your income increases, the demand curve will shift in this particular location. Because at the same price, now since your income increases, you have the capability to buy more amount of blueberries, right? So here you can see the price is same at the same price. Price is not changing. That is why we are saying it's a non-pricing effect. The price is constant, right? But the quantity demanded increases. Q2. Okay. So what is happening here? I'll just write it down for your reference, right? So this is your D dash, and if your income is reduced somehow, right? If your external sources, if you are not getting, suppose there was a lockdown, right, during the COVID, and people are getting half of the salary. So in half of the salary, they have to manage the expenses, right? So what they are doing, they're trying to reduce the quantity they are using in comparison to your normal days. So in that case, what exactly the demand curve look like, where it will go? It will go towards left. So this is a rightward movement, rightward movement. Now your demand curve is shifting to this point. So at the same price, now you are buying this quantity, that is your Q3, right? So this is your new point, and this is the quantity you will buy when you are not getting a sufficient resources or your purchasing power reduced, right? So your demand curve will shift towards leftward movements. Okay, I hope it is fine. So Q3 you are purchasing, suppose, or you might be you are purchasing 50 grams of blueberry. Here you are purchasing 300 grams of blueberry, and here normally you are purchasing 50 grams, 150 grams, right? This happens due to the increase in income. Okay, fine. Okay, so now so this is happening. Why? So this is one of the parameters. So there are multiple parameters which are affecting your demand shift in the demand curve. Now coming to the movement in the demand curve, what exactly do you mean by the movement in the demand curve? And there is a difference between a shift and a moment, right? So the movement in the demand curve means, right, it will give you the pricing effect. Okay, how it is giving the pricing effect? Shifting means you are sitting on a chair and you can, if you want to go to some other place, you are going to sit on another chair. That is shifting. Okay, but if you want to move to some different location, suppose if your pen is there, now you're keeping your pen this on a different table. So what you can do, you can just slide. If you have a sliding chair, you can slide your chair, or you can move your chair to take the pen, right? So similarly, the moment of the demand curve means, थोड़ा गड़बड़ हो जाता है, it's not coming fine. So this is P and Q. So the moment in the demand curve means you are moving on the same demand curve at different locations. Okay, so you are moving in the same curve. You are not shifting anywhere. You are moving in the same curve, either upside or downside. Okay, so this is called the movement in a demand curve. Fine. Up to this, it is clear. If it is clear, I'll just start the case now. The
Yes,
case
sir.
of, if you have any doubt till now, just feel free to ask me, because I'm going ahead now in the next case study where I'll explain you the concepts in a better way, right? Or maybe I can relate the concepts with you all, right? With a real life example. Understand 5G network and hardware. Okay. So do let me know, when the 5G was coming, what was the thought in your mind? What you guys were thinking when the 5G network was, you get a news of launching a 5G network?
Everything is going more faster than existing.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
Am I audible, sir?
You are audible, Anshul,
So,
please.
because technology has advanced, the prices may be dropped because many people will have a chance to buy 4G. They will shift from 3G to 4G, and economy will change.
Okay. Okay, I just want to clarify, Mrinal, this is not actually a normal BDM capstone project session, right? So this is a theory session where you can discuss the concepts related to theory itself. We have a separate session for a BDM project, right? Capstone project. So don't mix both the things, right? Okay. So there are two things coming when we are studying about the 5G ecosystems. So what are the two things which are coming when we are going to study the 5G system? First is the hardware. Hardware. Hardware consists of your smartphone. Okay. And if you want to use the network, so that is something like a services, right? So your service provider or cellular plan or mobile tariffs is what a services. Services, right? So services is 5G phone service, right? So these are the two things you have. This in the 5G ecosystem. Okay. So now try to understand, what do you mean by the demand and supply? right? So demand size, like if we can, we want to understand the demand side of hardware. Okay, so demand side of hardware is driven by the customers. Okay, so if you want a hardware, right? So how the demands are coming? Demands are coming from the customer end if they are willing and have ability to pay. Okay, so demand side, if you can see, so demand is driven by consumers who has ability to pay and willingness, right? At a different price range, different price range. Okay, now coming to the supply side. So this is what the demand side of 5G ecosystem. Demand size of 5G ecosystem for hardware. Now coming to the supply side. Supply side. So what is coming on the supply side is the manufacturer, right? Now the demand is created from your end. Now there should be a manufacturer as well who need to manufacture the hardware, right? From that, from his perspective, the supply things or supply side is coming, whether he want to fulfill the demand or not. Okay, so the manufacturer drives supply for consumer demand. Okay, suppose there are different companies like Apple and Samsung. So based on the price variations at different price ranges, they are going to manufacture the hardwares, right? With different technologies, with different costs, they are trying to manufacture. They are trying to increase the efficiency so that they are able to reduce the prices. Okay. So now on the service side, what is the demand? How you can consider a demand side? Okay. So what is your demand on a service side? Do let me know what's your demand on a service side. Yeah, anyone?
High speed internet, sir.
High speed internet. Okay, so high speed internet, right?
And then
High
at
speed,
low cost.
high speed data and low cost. Okay, yeah, it's correct. So what about the supply side? Yeah, tell me.
More profit.
Correct. The manufacturer, what they want, telecom operator, they want to first develop the infrastructure, because without infrastructure, if they don't have a towers, right, how they are going to provide a services? So supply side is dictated by your infrastructure development and spectrum availability. If they don't have a license to, or if they don't have a basically they have not registered with TRI, right, for 5G cellular services, they won't be able to provide you, right? So from the service side, if you can say, service side, it is basically a telecom operator like Geo or Airtel or some other operator, right? So telecom side is mainly dictated by what? Infrastructure development and your spectrum availability. right? So this is how the 5G ecosystem works, where demand is driven by the consumers, right? And your supply is driven by the manufacturer for a hardware. But for a cellular services, demand is driven by the need of driven by the consumer for a need of high speed data consumption, right? But the supply side, a telecom operator need infrastructure development and spectrum availability. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay. So now what is happening here? If you plot the demand curve, so how the demand curve look like? There is a shift in the demand curve, right? If the demand curve is this, so did you feel there is a shift in the demand curve? So this is a 4G network demand curve. This is a price and this is a quantity. So if the 5G network comes, how that is there will be any shift in a demand curve? If it is, then on what side the shift is there? Yeah, please
Excuse me,
go ahead.
sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
If the prices are same as 4G, so then people will be getting better internet for the same price. So it will shift rightward. But if prices are higher than 4G, this may shift leftward.
Okay. But the shift is not related to your price. Shift is related, it's a what I told you, shift. Shift is non-pricing effect. So that is the moment you are telling, right? So if the prices are high, okay, we'll see now. If the prices are high, okay, initially when the mobile was launched, so everybody don't have the purchasing power, right? And they won't be able to purchase the mobile 5G mobiles at that particular time. So if you can see this particular range when the 5G was launched, so you can see a less number of users here. Less number of users, those who have only the purchasing power capability, they are here in this region. Okay. So very few, right? Because it is expensive. But as soon as the manufacturing of chips, which are coming for a 5G chips are coming, they are becoming cheaper. Manufacturing was happening on a bulk. The prices drops, right? So when the prices drops, so this zone where the prices started dropping, so this particular zone, if you can see, so in this zone you are finding a lot of users are coming. Okay, so there are lot of users who started using your 5G network. So this is your mass market. Mass market. Okay, so this is what your mass market, where you can see a huge number of 5G users. Why it is happening? Because initially it was expensive. Now the prices started falling, right? Falling price, and now we are getting 5G phone at a cheaper price. Here we have only the specific people who have a high purchasing power, who want to use a luxury product. Okay, fine. So falling prices, when the prices started falling, so it attracts the mass market. Okay, so because of that we are seeing a downward movement. Okay, so this is how the movements of prices are changing. I told you the movement in a demand curve, when some point is moving, right? Movement in a demand curve. So this is how the movement is happening when the prices are falling, right? You can see a mass people are coming and they are opting the devices. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, so just to see what is the difference between the movement and a shift now. Okay, moment in a demand curve and a shift in a demand curve. So I'll take a moment in a demand curve, and here I will take a shift in a demand curve. Okay, so what exactly happening in a moment? In moment, we are seeing a change in a goods price, right? So if there is a moment, in moment we are seeing the change in goods price. But in shift, what we are seeing, in shift the prices are constant, right? And we are seeing a shift in a curve because of a different factor, non-profitable factors. We are not considering the price there, right? So this is non-price variable changing. Okay. So what are the visual results we have? The second, so this is the first point. Now coming to the second point. What is the visual results you are seeing here? Okay. So visual results, if we can see, this is your price, this is your quantity, and this is your curve. So if we have a 1 point here, right? So what if there is a moment, this point is going to slide at different locations based on your change in the prices. Okay. So this point slide along this static curve. But when we are going to understand the shift, in shift, the difference is that, so this is your normal curve. If there is a shift, then what exactly is happening? Your whole curve is changing. So this is your initial curve and this is your final curve. So whole curve is shifting either to outwards or to inwards. That depends upon the situation. Okay. Now, third point is that in a moment, the retail price dropped. Why the retail price dropped? Because of we scale the manufacturing. In initial stages, we don't have a chips, right? Particular 5G chips are very costly to manufacture. Because of that, the production cost was very high. But when we extended or when we increase the production of our chips, the prices comes down, right? So in this moment, retail price drops down, drops down due to scaling production or manufacturing, right? So what is happening in the shift? Shift is not related to a price. It is related to other factors like a salary or income or a budget, right? So here the general consumer, right, income or rise or fall, which results in a shift. Okay. Now coming to the 5G data example. So this is related to 5G smartphone example, data example. Now we can come and relate with the motion and shift. So what what exactly is happening in the moment? Okay. So initially the prices were very high for even for a data uses. The prices were very high. Tariffs are very high, right? Because the tariffs were very high, right? So people are not purchasing the data at the time. Suppose it is 1 GB data was available in 1,000 rupees. So the consumers don't have a power to purchase 1,000 rupees data for a month. 1 GB data, that was not sufficient. Okay. So because of that, if the tariff reduces, the price or you can see a quantity demanded will increase, right? So this will create a moment in your demand curve. Okay. Whereas if you can see about the shift in a demand curve with respect to 5G data example, right? So remote work become culture, right? Work from home. Most of the people started working from home. Even some of the companies are allowing now as well for work from home. Okay. So in that condition, making high speed data is a necessity regardless of price. So people are not thinking about the price at particular location because they need to work from home. During the COVID, right? People are working from home. So they are mainly focusing on high speed data. They are not focusing on what exactly the price of the data is. Right? So this is how we related the 5G example with this supply demand and the moment in a supply and a shift in a supply in demand, right? So this is something like this part is 5G smartphone, okay, and this is 5G data. If you are considering 5G data, so the telecom provider slashes monthly tariffs, right, which increase the consumption, increase data consumption, right? Here what is happening? Since work from home increases, so people want high speed data, high speed data. So the demand curve shifted now, right? Because people don't want to stay on the same. They are not focusing on the price. At the same price, they need more quantity of data. Okay, high speed data. So this is what we are we correlate the 5G concepts. Now coming to the next point. Yeah, any doubt is there? Is there will be any doubt till now? Okay. So now coming to the next point. So rising income, if the incomes is going to change, so what are the habits we are going to, what are the habits is going to change? What are the different type of taste, consumer taste, right? So if initially when there was no 4G network, there was a 4G network and we transferred to the 5G network. So the consumer what the consumer want was there. They are expecting high speed data for what? For watching a YouTube videos, right? So these are the consumer preferences. Okay. So when the income rises and the demand curve shifts, okay. So now there is you can see a shift in a demand curve. Okay, I'm not able to make it very clear, so just forgive me for that. Price and quantity, right? So when the general or you can say a consumer income increases, the curve shift towards right. So consumer can afford to buy more data, right? Or they can just try to purchase the tariff which is giving them a more data because they are able to afford that. Okay, so why we are initially, so this is happening, this shift is happening here. You can see the shift is happening because of the income. Okay, now here the other parameter which is coming, which is basically you can say uh, are coming into the picture and increasing or changing or shifting your demand curve. That is the consumer taste. Consumer want more data at the same price, right? And because of that shift is happening, because he want to watch high definition video, 4K video. If he is working from a work from home, he need high speed internet, right? Or if he is a freelancer, he need to use a cloud application, right? Or he want to have a meeting, seamless meeting without any lag. If I don't want to have these lectures online, what I will do, I will not take high speed internet. But since I need to take a lecture, I need a seamless work or seamless delivery of the lectures. In that sense, I need a high data service, right? So seamless work from home. Okay. So these are the consumer preference or taste. Why this is changing? Because you have the capability to invest. You have a purchasing power because of that shift has happened. I hope it is clear. Okay. Up to this, it is clear, right? Any doubt till this point? My speed is fine, right? I'm not going too slow or too fast. Okay, great. Fine. Now, there are two parameters. What are the two parameters are coming here? So, there are two parameters. One, if you want to use the 5G services or you want to enter in the 5G ecosystem, you won't be able, if you have a mobile only, right? You won't be able to access the 5G data. You want a SIM as well. Or if you have a SIM only, you won't be able to put the SIM in 4G network and just use the 5G data. It's not possible, right? So data price are not basically driven. You can say you need a complementary goods. So complementary goods is what? If you have a car, you need basically the petrol to run the car. Okay, fine. So there are two parameters which are affecting now. One is your tariff, and the other is a smartphone price. So your quantity demanded now is totally depending upon two parameters, that is your network traffic, whatever the tariffs are there or what are the plans they are giving, and your smartphone prices. Okay. So now if the shift is happening, so this is price and this is quantity. So if there is a shift in a demand curve, okay, so how much shift will happen because of these two economic forces, right? So if first force you have, so these are the economic forces you have. The first is your network plans, network plan, right? What is the cost of usage or cost of data you are using per month? And the other thing is that when you're switching from your 4G to 5G, right? So these are the economic forces you have. The other force is your smartphone price. Okay. So when you are shifting, these two forces will affect your shift in the demand curve. Suppose these are very, if you are able to manage, these are very less. So your shift will be high. It will be this point, right? But suppose if your mobile smartphone prices are very high and your tariff is less, the shift is there, but it is not that much. Suppose it is coming to this particular location. So now your shift in the demand curves, right, is determined on the relative magnitude of economic forces. Okay, so there is a mathematical battle happening. The network plans will say, okay, I'll not let you to move, right? But since the prices are reducing, the hardware will say, okay, I will increase at anyhow. How much you can stop me? All right. So there is a battle between two, and based on that battle, the final shift will come. Okay, fine. So now if you can see your 4G and 5G demands, so this is your 4G demand. 4G demand curve was this. So this was your 4G demand curve. So this is your price and quantity. Now, because of this trade-off, whatever the economic forces are happening, now if you are switching to 5G, so initial stage it is there, but now it is started expanding, right? Because the prices are less and mass user are coming to change their mobile and opting for the services, right? So this is your 5G demand, right? So this is your 4G demand. Now people don't want a 4G. There are very less users who want a 4G. So this demand curve, right? 4G demand curve will shift towards left. But since the new technology come into the picture, the 5G, your demand curve for the 5G services will go towards right. Right? The moment will depend, or it will just increase, or the shift will increase with respect to time. Immediately, it will not be. There should not be a must shift people because people are not going to buy. It is very costly. But as soon as the time increases, the people will start switching from 4G network to 5G. Okay, so this will make a 4G less valuable, right? And 5G is more valuable to towards the customers. Okay, so what you are going to learn from this is basically, so introduction of a 5G network. When the 5G network introduced and the market is in equilibrium where the demand and supply are meeting. Okay, so 5G network not only enhance the customer need but also improve certain sectors as well. It shifts the demand of certain different sectors. How it is shifting the demands? So 5G market, if you can see, right, equilibrium market. Okay, so because of the 5G market, we are having high speed data set. Okay, so medical field, if you can see, in medical field, you are getting mobile healthcare, mobile healthcare, right? So what exactly is happening? Initially, when there was less, or you can say a low speed data was there, people were not able to store the reports and everything online, right? Now, since they have accessibility to 5G data network, they can store the reports in a cloud and they can send it to the customer via WhatsApp. Okay, so now previously the demand curve was like this. Now, because of the 5G network market, right, the demand curve shifted. So this was your initial demand D1 and this is your final demand D2. Okay, coming to the second point, that is a smart logistic. A smart logistic courier services, you can say. You are able to track the courier services, or even the companies are going to track the courier services with the help of GPS, right? They are putting a GPS in trucks and all, and they're tracking the location of the trucks, right? So what happened? Smart logistic came, and it is possible in this current scenario with the help of 5G market, 5G data market. Okay, so this previously they have the price this, and they are price and quantity, right? They are getting a lesser number of orders, but due to smart logistics, now the courier services are advancing their technologies and they are getting more number of orders. They are delivering the product in 1 day or 2 days. right? So now the demand curve shifted to this place. Okay, demand increases. It is going towards outwards. Similarly, streaming the media platform like a YouTube. Previously, you are seeing a YouTube, right? It was just buffering, 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 and after a certain period of time, you are losing your interest and you are closing the sessions or lectures, and then you are taking a rest. It is done for a day. Now you are just without any buffer. It's, you can say, a buffer free. You are watching the videos. Okay, so now at the same price, when you are watching a single video, it is very difficult for you to watch a single video because it was buffering a lot. It took nearly half an hour for buffer, right? Now, in that particular time, you are seeing a multiple number of videos with 2x or 3x speed because it's a buffer free, right? So this is streaming media platform, right? So now the price, so here we can say price, demand, now it is going to shift. At the same price, you are getting more data, and because of that, you are streaming the platform or high speed data. With the help of high speed data, you are streaming the platform even better, right? So these are the benefits which comes from a 5G equilibrium concept. Okay, fine. I hope this is clear. You understood what exactly the moment is there and how the shift is happening. Okay, and different parameters with respect to 5G, how you are understanding, right? So I hope this is clear. Just do let me know if it is clear. Okay. So here what we have studied, I'll just wind up this with the conclusion, right? So what the conclusion we come from this particular study is that there is a demand shift. Demand is shift is what? It's a non-pricing effect, right? So from this, I'm going to conclude that demand shift is non-profit concept, whereas demand shift, right? Whereas movement in, whereas you can consider a moment, demand moment, or moment along demand curve means, right? It's a profit related concept. Okay, so this is first thing we understood.
Sir, what is the difference between both the things? Demand shift is also profitable, na? Because with that the quality improves, and with the quality improves, the demand increases.
No, no, that is what I'm saying. Like it is non-profit parameters are coming. So increase in income. You can see here in shift what is happening. I'll not use profit. It's a price, non-price.
Sorry, the
Sorry.
okay. So
Yeah.
at that same
So
time,
it's
price
non-price.
remains
Sorry.
same, and the
Yeah. Yeah.
sir,
Please.
shall I?
Yeah.
So the price remains same and quality increase. With the quality increase means that demand shifts. As the
Uh-huh.
demand shift, if the demand shifts, demand becomes high, and the price remains same, you get the more profit, na sir?
No, that is what happening. How you are getting a profit?
Okay, it may be
Profit.
loss also. It may be loss
Profit
also,
is
obviously. Huh.
your total revenue minus cost of production.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It may be loss
Right?
also. Yeah.
But you are not
Huh.
changing the price. At the same price, if you are seeing a shift, at the same price, you are getting more number of quantity. So
Got
initially
it.
was you at the same price at 4G, you are getting 1 GB of data, right? At the same price. Now you
Got
are
it, sir.
getting
Got it.
5G data right? And 2 GB 5G data at the same price. You are getting a difference.
Yeah, I'm getting a difference, sir.
Yeah. And here, if there is a movement in a price, so movement
Hmm.
will reduce the quantity. So suppose if you want to choose a tariff, right? If you want to choose a tariff for 5G, so if you are choosing a tariff with a higher price, right? If the prices are more, right? So in case you are getting initially, suppose this is the price P1, you are getting this much
Initially,
talk time data. With the prices reduced,
initially it is
yeah. So you are
initially it is
purchasing
loss.
less data. So if the
That's why
prices
it is
were very
loss
high,
at
you
that.
will get different. Then you are purchasing a 1 GB data itself. Now, if the price is reduced, you are just recharging, right? Now the prices are reducing. You recharge of 599 and you're getting a 3 GB of data.
Yes, sir.
So quantity demanded, whatever the quantity you are demanding is increasing, right? Now this is
Yes, sir.
suppose this one, and you are getting
A high
increased data.
quantity, increased quantity, and at a low price.
Got it? So
Yes,
this
sir.
is my
Yes, sir.
mistake.
Got
I used profit. It should not be profit. It's a price. Okay.
got it, sir.
I hope it is clear. It is a bit confusing, but I hope I delivered the concept. So you, the confusions are now, it's minimal, I can say. I'm not sure it is a zero, but I can say it's minimal, and you understand the concept now. Okay. So what exactly? So this is the
Okay,
first
sir.
thing. This is the first thing we are seeing in basically this example or case. The second thing is that this demand shift is happening because of consumers' income is changing. Okay, consumer income is changing, right? So consumer income, if the consumer income was less, he won't be able to buy more quantity of data, right? Now, if income increases, he is able to buy a smartphone, 5G smartphone, right? He can consume more and he can purchase a phone. So these are basically, I'm telling on a general point of view, right? I'm not telling about a specific, particular specific point of view. Now, the other thing is that price of related goods. Okay. So price of related goods is very important. Complementary goods. Suppose if a service provider will say you, okay, you can purchase our mobile, we can give you complimentary package for a year. For 1 year, you don't have to recharge anything, and we can give you the service and data as well, or 1 GB data free per month for 6 months or 1 year. I'm taking a hypothetical case. So in that condition, what happens when there is a complementary good added? People want to buy. If suppose this is the case, like if you are going to buy a car, and a car provider will say you, I will give you a fuel for 20 kilometers per month, it's free of cost. So in that case, what happens? Your demand curve will shift. At the same price, if you are getting more number of quantity, right, then your demand curve is going to shift. Okay. So the other thing I discuss about the consumer taste and the preference, right? How the consumer taste and preference are changing. So that is going to change your, that is going to shift your demand curve, right? So these are the different parameters we which we learn from here. Like for from 5G case, if you are purchasing a phone, okay, so 3 months they are giving a package. The company is giving. I think previously the Airtel was clubbing with some service provider, hardware service provider, and they're giving some packages. So the sales was pretty high. Demand was shifted, right? Okay, they will give you. Okay, now what exactly the internet services provider they are doing? They are providing you OTT, right? If you can take this plan, we can give you OTT services on free of cost. Okay, so this is something like related to price. When price of prices are there, and in that prices you are adding some complementary goods. Okay, so this is going to shift your demand curve. Fine. I hope it is clear. Now I'm going to
It is
start a new.
clear.
Okay, if it is clear, then I'll just go to the next topic. Okay, just do let me know frankly, like if you are able to understand anything, because if you are in a classroom, I will identify from the expression of a student, okay, they are able to understand or not. Since I am not able to see, so with your expression only I'll come to understand, okay, you are following the things. Correct. Absolutely correct. This will increase the customer marginal utility also, right? Satisfaction for per unit consumption. Suppose if you are getting 1 GB data, right, and additional GB data they are giving you a free of cost, so your satisfaction will be high, right? Okay. So now I'm going to discuss the next one concept, which is the elasticity of demand. Okay. So what do you mean by the elasticity of demand? Elasticity of demand. Okay. So you know, revenue is equals to profit, your price into quantity demanded. So this is your total revenue. Okay. So revenue. So this is the relationship which is related to your elasticity. So this relationship is related to elasticity. Okay, I'll just take a question later. So, so what exactly the elasticity of demand? Okay, so some of the goods they are very responsive in nature, right? If the demand is there, they are getting stock out at very short a period of time. They are very responsive, right? But some of the goods are not responsive. You have a multiple days stocks, right? So a huge inventory will be there. Okay. So with respect to price, now if we come to the prices, so some of the goods which are necessary or which are the wants of a human, right? So they are very responsive in nature. At anyhow, you want that, right? But on the other hand, if you are the prices are changed, some of the goods are not much responsive. Okay, the demand is not responsive. Okay, so try to understand now the first concept. Demand of some goods is what? Very responsive to change in price. Some of the goods, demand of some of the goods are not responsive to change in price. So these are the two conditions we have. Okay. So what exactly the elasticity is doing here? What is the concept of elasticity means? The concept of price elasticity of demand, price elasticity of demand will tell you, okay, so it will measure the concept of price elasticity of demand is a measure of responsiveness, okay, of demand for a particular goods with respect to change in price. Okay, so price elasticity of demand is defined, or a concept is defined as the measure of responsiveness, okay, measure of responsiveness of what? Of demand for for goods to change in its price, right? Okay. So this is called a concept of price elasticity of demand. So if the prices are changing, how responsive the demand it is, whether the demand is too responsive, people are just standing on a queue to buy, right? Or it is not responding. People don't care if the prices increases a lot. Okay. So this is called the measure of this responsiveness is a concept known as the price elasticity of demand. So now let us understand mathematically how we are going to define it. So price elasticity of demand is represented by ED is equals to percentage change in a demand, percentage change in a demand of goods with respect to percentage change in a price of good, percentage change in a price of goods, right? So this is called ED. Okay. So this is how we are going to calculate ED. Okay. So this is, if you can just see this, ED is equals to what it is. It is the change in quantity demand, right? Okay. So this is del Q by Q into 100 upon del P price change into 100. So if you can solve this, we are getting ED is equals to, it's P by Q, okay, and it's delta Q by delta P. Okay, so this is your mathematical formulation. So now try to observe two things here. If there is a linear variation between the price and your quantity demanded, so the slopes, this is what del Q by del P is a slope, right? So this is a slope. So the slope is a non-variable parameter. It is not changing. It is constant throughout. If it is a linear variation, okay. So this is a slope of demand curve, right? And this is your variable. Now this parameter is your variable parameter when you are calculating your ED. Okay. So this is your variable parameter, right? So I'm just giving an example. I'll just cover this in detail in IPL case study, right? But for a shorter, I'm just giving an example. Suppose the price of banana is, you can say, is rupees 5. Okay. So this is the old price. Okay. Now the price changes and the new price of banana is rupees 7. Okay. Now seeing here the quantity of banana demanded. So Q is the quantity of banana demanded. So the old quantity at 5 rupees, the quantity demanded was Q1 was 15. Now the quantity demanded at a new prices, since the prices increases, the quantity will reduce. Demanded quantity will reduce. Q2 is equals to 12. Okay. So now try to calculate the elasticity of demand for banana. How elastic the demand it is. It is elastic or elastic. This I am going to explain with this, right? So if you are going to calculate the percentage change in your quantity is equals to delta Q by Q into 100. So what is the change coming out to be? Anyone? It is coming out to be minus 20. Right? Now percentage change in your price is equals to delta P by P into 100. So this is 7 minus 5 divided by 5 into 100. It is coming out to be 14%. Okay. So the price is increased by 40%. If the price is increased by 40%, your demand is reduced, right? So demand is reduced by, it's dropped by 20%. So what's your ED is? Elasticity of demand. ED is equals to, if you can say a 20 by 40 is equals to 0.5. So we are always taking a magnitude only in ED. ED we are always taking a magnitude. So sign doesn't matter. Okay. Now try to understand. So if ED, right? If ED is, it is varying from 0 to infinity, right? Because since we are taking only the magnitude, so ED varies from 0 to infinity. Okay. Now try to identify what is elastic and what is inelastic. Okay. So if ED is between, ED is less than 1 and greater than 0. In that condition, we can say the demand is inelastic in nature. Inelastic demand, right? If the ED values is greater than 1, ED is greater than 1 and less than infinity, then we can say a demand is inelastic. Elastic. Okay, fine. Yeah, please.
Excuse me, sir. What will
Actually, yeah.
happen if demand is 1? I mean, the ED value is 1.
ED value 1, that is a unit demand.
So it will
And
elastic or inelastic?
that is a unit demand. Unit demand means like whatever the demand is there, you are totally fulfilling with the help of your price, right? So
Okay,
demand is
linear.
balanced. It is an equilibrium. Yeah, demand is in balance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So that is called unit elastic. I'm going to cover that also. Just wait for some time. Okay. So elastic demand. First, trying to understand what do you mean by the elastic demand. So ED is greater than 1, right? So in this, what exactly is happening? The consumer are sensitive to price change. Okay. Consumers are sensitive to price change. If the prices are changing, right, so the consumer will see some other alternative. Okay. If the prices are lower, right, the total revenue is what? Total revenue will increase because the prices are lower. You are selling at they are getting at a lower prices, right? Okay, so total revenue increase because the quantity, right? Because increase in quantity sold, right? The volume, the prices are less, more of the people. You can see, relate with the example of 5G SIMs. When the prices are less, right, you are getting a mass sale of your 5G phones. So when there is a mass sale, there is a volume, right? In that case, what exactly is happening? The total revenue will increase. When you are selling a 1 unit of phone and when you are selling 100 unit of phone, even the profit is less, but you are selling 100 units, right? So in that sense, the total revenue increases. Okay, so at low prices, when the demand is elastic, your total revenue is high. Now coming to the inelastic demand. Inelastic demand, right? So inelastic is that ED is less than 1. Okay, so what exactly happening here? The consumers are less sensitive, so they are die hard fans, you can say, right? Die hard fans are there. So this is something like a die hard fans. If they like, I have given you the example in first foundation lecture or second lecture when I take a case study of Ramu tea stall. I explained there are die hard drinkers of a coffee. They will not change, even the prices are changing, right? So they are inelastic in nature. So consumers are less sensitive to price change. Okay, so rising a price, if we are going to rise the price, what is the total revenue in this case? Anyone?
Sir, it would be same like petrol because if the prices rise.
So it is always, you can say, because these are the die hard users, so they not fluctuate. Whatever the sale was there, might be reduced a little bit, but it should be same, right? The quantity demanded in that condition, right? So your price reduced. If you are reducing the price, so your total revenue is going to reduce. Why it is happening? Because the gain in quantity, if you are reducing the price, right? So the people who are inelastic nature, they are anyhow buying it. They are new, not the new customers. They are coming, right? The only people are the diehard follower. They will use the commodity. So there is no gain in the quantity. Quantity is not gaining. There is a fixed amount of coffee they will drink, right? They'll, if the prices are reduced, it doesn't mean they can take a 20 cups of coffee in a day. If they are taking 2 cups, they will take 2 cups, right? So in that sense, your volume, whatever the volume of sales over there, it is nearly the less, right? In elastic demand. Okay. Now coming to the third point, which you were asking about, that is a unit elastic. Unit elastic. Unit elastic means your ED is equals to 1. Okay. So there is no effect, right? There is no effect. So change in price is equals to no effect in revenue, or you can say quantity demand. They are same. There is no effect in the demands. Fine. Okay. So what affects the elasticity of a demand? What are the parameters which are affecting? I need to complete it fast because I need to start the another topic. So what affects the elasticity of demand, right? I'll take an example. Suppose there is a grocery store, okay, and in the fridge there are, you can say a peas, okay, or you can say a tomato, or you can say some packed item, right? Some frozen food, or you can say some item is there. We can consider a peas, or you can take a paneer, right? So there are multiple variety of peas, or multiple brand of peas are there. Okay, so we have a different brand of peas. So as a consumer, when you are going to buy, because consumer psychology is pretty different, they're focusing mainly on the lesser price, right? So they will just opt the product, right? They will compare the price and they will opt the product which are of lesser price, or from where they're getting a more discount, right? Why? Because consumers are price sensitive. So your substitution, somebody has written about the substitution. Yeah, substitution is basically affecting your elasticity of demand, right? So suppose this is P, this is Q. Okay, so if this plot is flat, it means it is not sensitive, or it is not more responsive. If you can get a steeper plot, it is more sensitive towards price. This is nearly the flat. So the consumers are price sensitive, right? So they will go for where they are getting a maximum profit, or maximum, you can say a discount at lower price they are getting it. So your uh, this thing, substitution of the product, right, affects your elasticity of demand. Okay, but in some cases this is not valid. Why it is not valid? Okay, just do let me know why it is not valid and what are the cases. So in some cases, I'll tell you, this there the price is not responsive too much. If you can take a medicines, some specific medicines, like you are using asthma puffs, right? So these are very necessary, and you need to use the same product, right, which is prescribed from the doctor. Okay, So in that condition, this price concept or substitution effects will not come. Where the commodities or where the goods are necessary, like if you take medicines for a diabetes, right, or a drugs, so this assumption, or you can say this effects will not work. Substitution effect will not work. At anyhow, you need to purchase that, whatever the prices are there. So your demand is what in that particular sense, in that particular scenario, is inelastic. You need to buy it anyhow. If the prices are increasing or decreasing, it doesn't matter. Okay, so your demand is inelastic in nature. So here it is, in case of peas, your demand is elastic in nature. You are going for a substitution product and you are purchasing it, right? Because you are more focused on the money, where you are getting at a cheaper price. But for life-saving cases, you are not focusing on the money. You are focusing on basically the subscribed unit or the best unit you are getting, even it is costlier as well. I hope it is clear. Okay. I have one example. I'm not sure whether it is possible to the viewer. Uh, okay, so okay, let me cover the example. Okay, or I'll just cover in the IPL one. Okay, so now if I'm making a table for you all, which will give you an idea of how the ED, like elasticity of demand, is working, right? Suppose there is a change in price. Okay, so this is change in quantity. Okay, this is change in price, this is change in quantity, this is delta P percentage, this is delta Q in terms of percentage, and this is your revenue, which is your price into quantity. Okay, and finally you are having your ED, elasticity of demand. Okay, so consider the first case. Just help me out. Okay, when the prices increases, what happened to the change in quantity demanded? Quantity demanded is decreased. Okay, suppose your price change at plus 10, then your quantity demanded will reduce, so it is minus 8. Okay, so your revenue, what happened to the revenue? Revenue will increase. Okay, so your prices are inelastic. Okay, your prices are inelastic. If you are going to calculate this, so it is a ratio between these two, delta Q by delta P. So if it is less than 1, it is coming to be inelastic. So this is price inelastic. Inelastic case, right? Now coming to the second case. So these are the different combination. I made it for you so that you can understand. If the prices increases, again the change in quantity decreases. Suppose this is your constant, change in your price is constant, right? Okay. Now, since again your price increases, this decreases, here it is, suppose your delta Q is coming out to be 12% change. It is increased from 8% to 12%. Okay, so your total revenue now is reduced and your price are elastic in nature. Now coming to the third point, if this is increased, this is again reduced, this is same plus 10%. Now this is coming to minus 10, right? So plus 10 and minus 10, if you are going to take a magnitude of this, right, what exactly it is coming to be? It's a unit, right? So there is no change in revenue. So this is a case of unit elastic. Okay, so this is unit elastic. Now coming to the fourth point, if your change in price reduced, right, then your demand increases. Okay, change in price reduced by 10%, and your demand increases by 15%. Okay, so your total revenue now increases because your demand in quantity demanded increases. You're getting a volume, right? So in that sense, if you're calculating your ED, so when you're calculating a ED, it is coming out to be price, because since it is greater than 1, right? So it is price elastic. Fifth point. What is the fifth point? What you are going to consider in the fifth point? Yeah. So this is, maybe you can just try to calculate this. So percentage of delta Q upon percentage of delta. So the next case coming, when your price reduces, again your demand is what? Increased, right? So your price reduces to 10, right? Your demand increased to plus 7%. Now there are two economic factors are coming. Demand and your price both are changing. So whoever is greater will decide about the total revenue. So your total revenue decreases, right? And after then, what exactly is happening here? Your price becomes inelastic. So this is price inelastic case. Okay. Coming to the sixth point, when your change in price reduced, when your quantity demanded increases, now this is your 10%. Delta P changes is 10%, and your delta Q is also, it's plus 10%. It is increased to 10%. Now what is the case? So here also again no change. It means unit elastic, right? So this table is very useful for you when you are going to calculate and you are going to identify whether your product is elastic or inelastic in nature. Fine. I hope this table is clear to you all. Great. Don't worry. Don't just take a screenshot or don't write it, because I'm going to share this detail. Okay. So now I am going to start the supply, right? And then after supply, I will be covering your one case, and let's see. It is 8:45, right? Okay, we have a time. Now coming to the supply. So what do you mean by supply now? So the demand is completed now. We are going to understand the concept called supply. Okay. So supply curve is also, supply is basically, we can say, at is a function of your quantity demanded. Similar case like a demand. Demand is what? A relationship between your price and your quantity demanded. Similarly, supply is also a function of your function of Q and P, right? Quantity demanded and the price. Okay. So what are the assumptions that we are making here? Okay. So here the law of supply, here law of demand was there. Here the law of supply is saying the quantity demanded and the price are positively related to each other. There it was negatively related. It means if the quantity is, the volume is increasing, right, the prices will also increase. Okay. So if we can go to this particular point, so that was downward sloping. So this was coming towards downward sloping, right? If we have this plot, it means it's a upward sloping. Upward slope, right? So here, if you can see, I'm not discussing about this particular point. This I'll discuss later. So law of demand says, law of supply says the price and quantity demanded are at each point has positive relationship. Okay. So this is your supply curve. This is P and this is Q. So here, if you can see the price, here it is a quantity. So this is P1 and this is Q1. Now you can go here. So this is a price P2 and here it is a quantity P2. So P2 is greater than P1. Similarly, Q2 is greater than Q1. So the prices increases, the quantity is also. So it is a positive relationship. Okay. So now what this positive relationship is representing? Okay. So this positive relationship is representing your increasing cost opportunity. Increasing opportunity cost. Okay. So this is positive relationship representing increasing opportunity cost. Now, just try to understand how this is connecting with opportunity cost. Okay. Suppose we have more production. We have increased the production. So this more production leads to if we are increasing the production, we need more money, right? So it is more expensive. If we want to increase the production, we need to invest more. So production will dominate it with the help of expansion, or you can say more investment. The product is becoming more expensive because we need to buy a nice raw material. Raw material like is scarce. It is not available on unlimited level, right? So this is more expensive to produce. Why it is more expensive to produce now? Because it is more expensive to produce because we have less suitable resources. Resources are not infinite in nature, unlimited in nature, right? Because we have limited or less suitable resources, okay, to produce more quantity of goods or service, okay, to produce good or service. Now what we need to do? So what we have to do if we want to produce more, right? So either we need to expand the resources, right, or we need to do advanced, or we need to implement advanced technology, or we are going more amount of money so that we can get a more investment to increase the production, right? So if we are willing to produce more, so what we need to do? We need more compensation or money, right, which you can use to enhance the resources or increase the resources, right? So how this is happening? This is happening when the unit price increases, right? Okay. So if unit price increases, okay. So this is how the concept is coming. So this particular process, this is the process, right? So this is showing you the increase in the opportunity cost because of the limited resources, right? Okay, you don't have a full resources, but if you want to willing to do more, what you need to do? You need more amount of money to build the resources, right? So this is what exactly is the explanation of we have positive relationship, right? Because you need to increase more, the prices is more. Okay, so we have already shown here the prices and quantity positive relationship, right? So this shows if you want to produce more, you need more money, right? Quantity of demanded is more, you need to have a more money, right? So this is the explanation for why we have positive relationship between quantity and price, quantity demanded and price from a firm, right? Okay, so now willing to supply. Okay, when you are willing to supply your time, if you are coming for a lecture, what it means, you are willing to supply for a time, right? So you are willinglessly giving your time or investing your time for this lecture, but you have other opportunities. You can utilize this time to do some freelancing work as well. Okay, so now you are going to correlate the concept of opportunity, where you are willing to supply your time, but you have an option to freelance the different projects where you can get some money. Okay, so I'll explain you this thing. Okay, with one example. Okay, how opportunity cost is supporting positive relationship, right? How the we have discussed the opportunity cost, but how this opportunity cost support the positive relationship? Suppose you are doing a freelancing job. Okay, so when you are doing a freelancing job and you have the other options as well, right? You can give up the freelancing job and you can do some full-time work, right? But since you are doing a free-time job, you are spending some money and you are expecting some return from there. Suppose you are getting a price from the freelancing is rupees 1000 per hours from the client, and you are assuming this 1000 rupees per hour is very less. So because the time, your money or the investment or your return from this investment of time is very less, so you are investing lesser time for freelancing job. But suppose if the prices increases, now he is ready to pay you 5000 per hour. So what's your result now? Now if he is saying, okay, I'll give you a high wages, okay, if he'll give you the high wages, so you'll say, okay, if you are giving me 5000 rupees per hour, I'm going to spend 30 hours per week. Here he was spending 10 hours per week, right? So now you understand the concept. So here he has the two opportunities. He can just opt this or go for some other thing. But if he is willing to accept at a higher wages, right? So here price is increased, as well as you can see the number of hours is also increased. So quantity demanded from the project, right? That is a time is also increased. Now he is investing more time. Now you are understanding the positive relationship, right? How the positive relationship are supporting with opportunity cost. So this concept illustrate. So this illustrate what? Positive relationship between price and your freelancing services supply. Okay, fine. So here, if the prices are increased, if the wage price or you can say incentives are increases, it means the quantity of labor supply, whatever the services you are giving at for a shorter time, now you are giving for a more time. Now you are investing more time on the services. You are investing 30 hours, right? So this compensate the opportunity cost of your time. Okay, because the prices are increases. So this price increase is going to compensate your opportunity cost for the time. Suppose somebody will give you option, you can attend this particular session, or without attending this particular session, you are getting an A grade. You don't have to attend the sessions and you will get A grade directly. So the time investing for this particular session is compensated with the A grade. Okay, I hope it is clear. It is clear to you all? Are you awake or some of you are sleeping? Okay, great. So similarly, there was a shift in the demand curve. Similarly, we have a shift in the supply curve as well. So shift in supply curve. Okay, so there is a two type of shift. First is inward and outward. Similarly with that. So suppose this is your supply curve, and if it is coming down to this particular point, so this S dash is called inward shift, inward shift. And if it is coming to this particular point, H double dash, so this is called your outward shift. Okay. So if you can see this price and quantity demanded, similarly you can draw a line. So if it is inward shift at a same price, you are getting a lesser. You want to supply a lesser quantity, right? If it is if the same prices are there, so what exactly? If it is an outward shift, you need to supply more, right? So price input, right? If you can assume the fertilizer, if the fertilizer price are input is what the input for your if you can say if you are just cropping something, your input is fertilizer, right? If the input prices or fertilizer prices increases, right? So what happened? The output price, right? So in that sense, what you are going to do, you are consuming less amount of raw material or input, right? Consuming less amount at the same price, right? So just take an example at rupees 50. Previously, you are purchasing nearly 2 kgs of tomatoes, right? But since the supply is reduced, right? Supply is reduced, and at the same price, if you are wanted to buy at the same prices, right? So you are getting a lesser because the prices of the fertilizer are increased, right? So now if it is an inward shift, you are getting 1.5 kg for the same price. So this is called, so there are 2 points. We can name this particular 2 points. Anybody can tell me what the outer, so in this particular point, you have surplus, and in this particular point, you have a scarcity, right? Where the supply, like you are seeing a newspaper sometimes, the prices of onion shoots up because why? Because the supply was getting obstacle. So then what you are doing, you are purchasing at the same price because you need to fix the price. At the same price, you are buying a lesser quantity of onion. But sometimes it happens like because of the rain, you have a surplus amount of onion, right? And they are getting spoiled. So people's or the farmers, unfortunately, they are selling at a very lesser price. And at that particular condition, at 50 rupees only, you are able to buy nearly 5 kgs, which was available 2 kgs, right? Because they have a lot of inventories. They don't have a place to store. They have two options: either they can throw it or they can sell it at a lower price. So at the same price, when you are fixing a price constant, So at the same price, you're getting a larger, or you can say a more quantity demanded. I hope it is clear. Great. Now, this is the last concept. I will just focus about market equilibrium, and then I'll go with a very interesting example of gold, right? How many of you like gold? I think everybody. Great. So now we are doing a marriage of supply and demand, right? Supply and demand. Okay, so now we are doing a marriage of supply and demand. And when we are doing a marriage of supply and demand, it is called a market equilibrium, right? Where both of like supply and demand mutually settles, right? Their families are happy now, and they're saying, okay, go ahead for marriage. So this is called as a market equilibrium, where the price and quantity demanded, right, are equal, right? Here is a price is equals to your quantity, or you can say price and quantity demanded for which at the price, right? So you can say market equilibrium. What is happening? Your demand, quantity demanded is equals to quantity supplied, right? You can see this plot. This is P and Q. This is your demand curve, and this is your supply curve. So this is a point where the consumer, buyer, right, or the person who is putting a demand is satisfied with the negotiation happen with the suppliers, and they are ready to sell at that particular price. So this is called as a equilibrium point or market equilibrium point. Now let us understand this with the help of example, which is a gold. How prices are defining, how the prices are fluctuating for the gold. Okay. So let's understand with the help of example the rate of gold, right? How the gold rates are changing on a daily basis. The rate of gold, right? So what are the parameters we are going to change here in gold, in case of gold? How anybody has an idea how the rate of golds are changing? Okay, so rate of golds are changing every seconds, or even a millisecond. If you can just able to calculate, it is changing on a millisecond also. Suppose the rate of gold in Chennai today is, suppose the rate of gold in Chennai today is rupees 15,000 per grams. Okay. So now rate of gold is driven by, right, how the rate of gold is decided. If I want to purchase a gold, how the rates in the market are going to define, and how I can identify the rates, or how can I think like the rates are going to define in the market, live market. So rate of the gold, a rate of gold, okay, are driven by market equilibrium. Market equilibrium. Okay. So how the market equilibrium concept, economics concept, is playing a crucial role in defining the rate of gold, or in quantifying the rate of gold. Okay. So suppose there is a precision price. Okay. Amount of a gold buyer want to purchase. Buyer is what? Buyer want to purchase a gold. Okay. So what he will do? He will do some bidding. Okay. And after the bidding, when the seller agrees, okay. So at that particular point where a seller and buyer, after negotiation, are getting agreed, right? So that will be the point, or that is the rate which is defined for the gold for particular that second. Okay, so if you can see here the amount of gold, right, buyer want to purchase is derived exactly meets the amount, right, or meets the price, you can say, or amount of seller willing to pay, willing to sell, sorry, willing to sell. So he is consumer, right, or buyer is paying, ready to pay, and he is willing to sell. Okay, so the point where both of these agrees, that point, the rate whatever is defined is the rate of gold at a particular moment. So this is how the rate of gold is defined in the market. So here two forces are coming. Okay, so if you are seeing here, two forces are driving here, economic forces, right? Two economic forces. Just wait a second. Okay, so here two economic forces are playing a crucial role. Okay, so here two economic forces are coming in the picture. First is, right, so two economic forces which are driving the price of a gold. The first is your demand, the other is your supply. Okay, so these are the two forces which drives price of gold. Now you are understanding the economic concepts are very important. Okay, so here the demand curve is what? It's a buyer curve. Okay, and supply curve. Okay, so here demand represents what demand is representing here. Okay, because everybody want to buy a gold. There is no one who dislike to buy a gold, right? So here demand represents the buying power, okay, of jewelers. Demand is coming from where? Demand is coming from individuals, right? Demand is coming from a jewelers. Demand is coming from the banks. Demand is coming from the individuals, right? So these are the buyers, okay, which are going to decide, or which are going to decide the prices for the demand curves. Okay, now coming to the second force. So this is the first force. Second force is a supply curve. Supply, and we can see the supply curve. Who are there? What are the supply curves? Supply curves are the sellers. Okay, demand curve shows, or it represents the buyers, whereas the supply curve represents the sellers. Okay, so who are the sellers here? If you can see, the people who are miners, who are mining the gold, right? The importers, the people recycling the gold, recycling gold are also supplier, because they have the gold, they are coming to the shop and recycling the gold or selling the gold, whatever the storage they have. Okay. So now the law of supply says, if the prices are high, okay, if the prices are high, supplier want to provide more. Okay, it means the quantity demanded will be more. Okay, now coming to the equilibrium point, which is a major point. So suppose I'm giving an example, equilibrium meet point. So the seller was saying, I will sell at 16,000 per grams. Okay, so this is the prices he wanted to sell. Whereas the buyers will say, I want to buy at 13,000 per grams. Okay. So suppose if he is backing off, he's saying lesser than 16,000, I won't be able to sell. So if he is not able to sell, what exactly is happening because of this back off, right? Because of back off, he is having a fear because the prices are fluctuating on a day-to-day basis, and he has an inventory or he has a stock of gold. Tomorrow, if the price crashes, right, then he will be in a huge loss, right? So for a safer side, he need to reduce the price and to bring the price so that we can fulfill the demand from the customer side, which is 13,000. Not sure whether 13,000 will be the point of negotiation or equilibrium point, but since he don't want an inventory, right, excess inventory, which is called a surplus, excess inventory. So what he will do, he will lower the price to make sell, right? But 13,000 buyer said, okay, buyer want to buy instantly, and he says like 13,000 I'm paying, just give me. Okay, but no, so this is also a seller. So two conditions we are taking for a seller. One is 13,000. So this is 16,000, where he has a surplus, right? One is 13,000 per grams. Okay. So one is 13,000 per grams. The gold price is very less. In that sense, people are rushing to buy the gold. So what happened in this particular situation? There is a shortage of gold. Right. So this is a surplus where he is not negotiating, and he is saying my demand basically I am inelastic in nature, right? In the second scenario, seller is there, he is saying I'm elastic in nature, I can reduce the price because I want to clear my stock. When he is putting the price right at 13,000 rupees, instantly he will get a buyer and he will purchase all the stocks he's having. So in that condition, he is stock out of the gold. He don't want to take a risk, right? Okay, so these are the two cases where equilibrium points are coming. Why, how they have to merge? What is the surplus point? What is the shortage point? So if you can see here in the plot, so this plot, so this is the point where they have he has a surplus, right? So he want to sell at a lower price, and this is a point where he has a shortage, right? He want to 13,000 rupees price was there. He want to sell gold, but he don't have a sufficient amount of gold which he can sell to the customer. He is asking for 20 kg gold, but he don't have a 20 kg. He has only 1 kg of gold. How he can supply, right? So this is called a shortage. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, now coming to the point, why rates are changing on a day-to-day basis. why there is a fluctuations, why there is a basically a sudden shift is happening, right? So equilibrium point, if you can see this particular concepts, so the prices are not static in nature, these are dynamic in nature, they are changing on seconds to second, right? The equilibrium point is changing per second. That is why when you are seeing the rates of gold, it is fluctuating every second. Why? Because there is a shift in the equilibrium point, it is dynamic in nature. Okay, so there is a shift in a demand curve, right, in a gold because of geopolitical conflicts, right? So if there is a disruption in a gold market, international gold market, global finance market, right? So in that condition, there is a tension. So it is something similar to what happened with the US-Iran war, right? Because of the internal tension, the crude prices increases, and investors are nervous at that particular time. So what they did, whatever the investors are there for crude oil, they extract their money from crude oil, and they said, okay, we are going to invest in gold. So the money shift from crude oil now is coming to gold. So because of that, there is a shift in a gold demand. Okay, so if there is a shift, obviously, since the equilibrium point will change, it is dynamic in nature. Okay, so this is the effects. Demand shifts are happening because of a sudden change of a geopolitical condition, right? There is a sudden demand of a gold, like in case of you can say seasons when there are huge marriages and parties are there. So uh, the demand is more and supply is less. So the prices are high. Okay, so now we can see the demand equation is coming. If it is we are consuming, it is a demand is varying linearly, so demand equation is coming out to be, so price is equals to A minus B times of Q, where B is your slope and supply equation is coming out to be P is equals to C plus D into Q, right? Why it is minus? Because we have a negative relationship, inverse relationship. Here we have a positive relationship. That's why supply is coming like this. If it is linearly varying. Okay. Now I am going to the last topic, or topics are already covered. I want to explain you with the help of one case study and want to compile our demand and supply theory, right? Whatever we studied till now, right? Demand and supply. I hope it is fine for you. Okay. You are enjoying or not? Okay, great. Great. So this is a case study for IPL where we are seeing uh, the match was there, right? So it's basically you can say a final match or some match, and we need to define or decide the price, how the prices are changing, right? So this is the IPL case study. To understand the concept from this case study, we are going to understand the concept of your demand, supply, elastic, elastic, inelastic, elastic, and equilibrium, and your ED, right? ED is something like a elastic or elastic, right? So in this particular case, there are limited seats. So what is fixed here? So IPL case, if we are seeing IPL case, if we are seeing, there is a match between CSK was playing a final. I'm not sure at what in what year they have played a final in Chennai Stadium. So suppose they play, this is the final match, right? Okay, and now the system management of stadium, right? Management of stadium want to strategize, want to make a strategy to determine the price, right? Or ticket prices. So how they are going to determine the price now, right? So the task is to determine and optimize the price of ticket, right? So covering a first concept of demand and supply, let's see. So what is the maximum revenue they will get? People are buying the tickets, right? And from there, the revenue, whatever generated within the capacity of a crowd, is the maximum revenue. So in a supply point of view, we can see supply is what it's fixed in this case. Why supply is fixed? Because they have a definite infrastructure. Because of that, we have a limited, suppose 5,000 seats. Okay, so this is fixed number. We can't change. If the match is there tomorrow, we can't change the number of seats. We can't increase the number of seats. So the supply is fixed. If it is fixed, it means it is inelastic in nature. It is not changing. For a shorter run, like in next year, they can increase the number of seats, right? So as of now, for a shorter run, this is your fixed variable, right? Or this supply is fixed. Okay. So if the prices are increased, we are increasing the price. So instead of increasing the price, we can't increase the supply after 5,000 seats. Okay, because of inelasticity in nature. Now coming to the demand. So what is the demand? The willingness to pay, because they have a limited seats, right? So the prices increase too much, the demand will reduce, right? There are two type of elastic and inelastic type of demands, right? So those who are elastic in nature, they'll say, I don't want to buy a ticket. I'll just go to my home and watch in TV if the prices are too high. But who are the die-hard fan and who want to watch the match in the stadium? They'll say, like, if the prices increase, it doesn't matter. I'm going to watch the IPL match and anyhow. Okay. So this is the case where as for the demand, the power of purchasing power, right? So the willingness to pay for tickets varies from fan to fan, or basically follower to follower, who are diehard, you can say, cricket lovers, right? So it is willingness to pay depends upon customer to customer. So the prices increases, from the demand concept, we know the quantity decreases. Quantity demanded is decreases. Okay. So if the price is reduced, the fans or those who are not capable of buying a higher price ticket, they can also accommodate. They are not a die-hard fan, but they are a fan of a cricket, right? They can also buy the tickets and they can buy, or they can watch the match, or they can. It is affordable for them as well. So in that condition, the quantity will be high. We are getting higher volume. Okay. Now, let us define the weekly demand curve for the premium tickets, right? How the premium tickets weekly demand is going to change. So I'm getting a equation for a demand is 15,000 minus 1.25 p. So this is the equation for a demand, weekly demand for a premium ticket. And this is varying linearly. Some of you are thinking now, sir, from where you bring this equation, right? From where this equation is coming? It is not coming from the air, right? It is coming from somewhere. And I'm not bringing these equations by some random thoughts. Okay. So there is a logic for this equation, how this equation is coming. Now your data science degree affects a crucial role for this equation, right? So there is a logic for bringing this equation. What is the logic? Logic is what? This equation comes from or is calculated from your data analysis. Whatever the data analyst team was there working in a stadium, they have given this equation. So this equation comes from a data analytics team of the stadium. But how they get this equation? They get this equation from historical data analysis, right? By putting a linear regression, right? Because of the linear regression, they fit the they fit the data, and from data fit after data fitting, right? They get the equation. Okay, so using your equation is coming from using historical data of sales. Fine. Up to this, it is fine. Now, coming to the next point, the market equilibrium. So now let us see how the prices are going to be defined. Okay. So this was my equation, and my supply was fixed. So if we are working for a market equilibrium, so this is the third concept I'm bringing now. Okay, so here I bring a concept of demand supply. After then I bring a concept of elastic and elastic demand, right? And now I am bringing a concept of market equilibrium, right? So now at a market equilibrium, what happens? Your supply is equals to demand. Quantity supplied is equals to quantity demanded. So what's your QS? QS is fixed 5,000. Supply is fixed 5,000. Now what's your equation? This equation is 15,000 minus 1.5 time of P. So from here, the price, what is the price at the equilibrium, market equilibrium point for a ticket, premium ticket is rupees 8,000. So this price comes at market equilibrium. It means at an equilibrium point, the stadium authorities can sell the premium ticket at 8,000 rupees. Okay. So at this 8,000 rupees, 5,000 seats will be full, and customers are willing to pay 8,000 rupees. So the match is going to be a houseful match. There is no seats at a price of 8,000 rupees. Okay. Now, if the prices are wrong, if somehow the management team calculated a wrong prices, okay, so they have decided the price, if price is wrong, what happened now? If the prices are wrong, the management team suppose they said we are selling a ticket at 4,000 rupees. Okay. So your demand equation is same. Demand equation is same. This is your P new price. Okay. So demand equation is same. Now what is your supply? At this particular price, you are able to meet the supply which is fixed or not. Okay. So let us understand whether we are able to fix it or not. QD is equals to QS at equilibrium point, right? So we can calculate 15,000 minus 1.25. This is a price new is equals to supply. So here supply value comes out to be 10,000. Oh, what it happens? It means we are not able to fulfill the demand. We need 10,000 seats if we are just going with the price of 4,000. So it means there will be a shortage of seeds, or we can say a supply, right? How much shortage is coming? It is coming out to be 5,000 seed shortage is coming. So who is getting benefited now? With this shortage, who is getting benefited? Any rough idea? The person who are doing a black marketing or selling a ticket on a black, they will get benefited now, because die-hard fan lovers want to watch a match. They didn't get a ticket, right? Now they will buy a ticket on a black. So the 8,000 ticket or 4,000 ticket, now they are going to sell it 20,000 rupees. Okay, fine. So this is the first case. Now, the second case is that if the prices are too high, if the management put prices too high, suppose they decided to put a price of per ticket is rupees, new price is rupees 10,000 rupees. So whether this new price will fulfill the inelastic supply or not, right? So with this, if you are solving the same equation, the supply is coming out to be 2,500 tickets will sell in this price. It means there are surplus tickets available, right? So that was a shortage. This case was a shortage. Now here you are seeing we are having 2,500. This is what your surplus. Okay, surplus tickets. So it means if they are not well, these are the empty seats. Okay. So these are the three scenarios. One, exactly when we are meeting uh, uh, the market equilibrium, it means it's a houseful show, and the prices was rupees 8,000. The second case came when the prices comes to 4,000, prices reduced, right? And we have you can say shortage of tickets, right? The other case is that prices are too high and we have you can say a surplus of seats or surplus of tickets are there, which the management won't be able to sell. Okay, so after completing this, I'll just summarize, right? So I'm bringing the new concept, that is your price elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand. What it means? Whether the prices are elastic or inelastic in nature. Let's see. So we already know how to calculate the price elasticity of demand. So the first case, okay. So the first case is there when we assume the demand is inelastic in nature. The prices increase or decrease, it doesn't matter. The people who want to buy, who has the purchasing power, they can buy. Like people who are working or who are working on a corporate, right, with a high package or high amounts of purchasing power. Okay, they can buy the ticket at any how. Okay, the other case. So if this is the case, let's think about it. If the price rate is changed to 20%, right? So if price is changed from 8,000 to suppose 9,600, so it is a 20% change in a price. So what will happen? So initial Q1 price was 8,000. Now the final price, that is Q2, is 9,600. So there is 20% change in the price. Okay. So now if you are going to calculate how much is your Q2. So this is a price, sorry. This is a price. So this is Q2 is equals to 50,000 minus 1.25 into 9600. So Q2, it means supply. What is or the demand it is coming out to be is 3000. So it means at 9600, 3000 tickets will get sold out. Okay. So now calculating the ED, elasticity of demand. So percentage change in price is equals to 20%, that is positive 20%, right? So it is increased. So change in quantity in terms of percentage, now it is 3000 minus what was the fixed is 5000 divided by 5000, it is coming out to be minus 40%. Okay. So your price increased by 20%, your demand, right, a quantity demanded, change in quantity is reduced by 40%, right? So your PED is coming out to be 2, right? Always you are taking a positive sign, which shows the demands are elastic in nature. Still, in this price range, there are certain people are there who will say, okay, we don't want to buy at 9,600. We can opt for some other option. We are not going for a premium seat. We are going for gully area, right? So it means if still in this case where elastic demands we are assuming, right? Still there are some people who are sorry, inelastic. So here the people are there who are elastic in nature. So elastic demands are coming into picture. Elastic demand are coming into picture because it is greater than 1, right? Okay, now coming to the other case, truly inelastic segment, right? So this we have calculated based on your uh, total demand equation, right? If you can see here, so this is based on your okay, so this is coming from here. So this is coming from your final equation, right? From this equation. Now, if we are focusing only on elastic demand, so it is a mix of elastic and elastic, right? Now, if we are considering perfectly inelastic segment, okay, so this is elastic demand. Now, perfectly inelastic segment. So what is happening in perfectly inelastic segment, right? So the equation will change. Suppose the equation is coming out to be this one minus 0.25 times of P. Okay. So previously the price was 8,000 equilibrium price and demand was 5,000. Now, just I think I will wind up in next 5 minutes or so, right? Okay, so this is the first point. Now, P new is coming out to be suppose 9600, and your demand now you are going to calculate new is equals to 6,000 minus 0.125 P. It is coming out to be how much it is coming out to be? It is 1400 tickets. So these are so they still there is a 200 tickets which are saved, right? But this is the case where we have perfectly inelastic segment. Okay, so now your PED is, if we are going to calculate the PED, it is coming out to be 0.2, right? So it means 0.2, it means it is less than 0, less than 1, right? So it is inelastic in nature. So from PED we find out if we are using this particular equation that is valid for perfectly inelastic. So we are getting a demand which is inelastic in nature. Okay, so inelastic demand we are getting. Okay, so now coming to the revenue point of view, how we are going to relate the revenues for both the demand. Okay, so initial revenue if we are going to calculate, So total revenue is equals to what? P into D. P into D. Okay. So at equilibrium, what is the price? It's 5,000 and your demand was 8,000. Sorry, its demand is this one and price was 8,000. So your total revenue was 4 crore. Now your at the rate of new price, when the prices are high, price is high, right? So this is 5,000. So this was 4,800. We get it here perfectly inelastic. 4,800 into what was the price? It was 9600. So it means 4.6 crore. So if the demand is inelastic in nature, so in that case, the total revenue, if we are increasing the price, the total revenue increase. Okay. So if demand is inelastic, okay. So if the demand is elastic, so when we are raising the price, so raising the price increases the total revenue. Okay. Now, when the demand is elastic in nature, okay, when people don't want to stay, right? So they are sensitive towards the price, and there is a new equation. QD is equals to 13,000 minus 1.0 times of P. Okay. So now we are going to calculate QD is equals to if the prices are increased. If we are increasing 10% of the price, okay. So if you are increasing the prices, old is 8,000. Now if we are increasing a new price by adding 10%, so 8,800. These are the new prices. Okay. So QD new will come is 4200. Okay. So percentage in a prices is increased by 10%. Now if we are going to calculate the percentage change in demand, it is coming out to be 16%. Right? It means the demand is reduced by 16%. Okay. So from here, if we can calculate the PED to identify whether it is elastic or inelastic in nature, so we are getting a ratio out to be 1.6%. This is greater than 1. It means the demands are elastic. Okay. So now calculating the total revenue. So total revenue is equals to, suppose it was initially it was equilibrium, it was 4 crore. Total revenue at high price is equals to how much it is coming. It is coming out to be, if we can multiply, now the price is to prices are 8,800 into 4200. So it is approximately coming upon 3.7 crore. So if you observe from here, if the demands are elastic, the total revenue is reducing, right? So if the demands are elastic, so in rising or increasing in price will cause a reduction in your total revenue. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, fine. So now I'll wind up this concept. I'll just put a summary for you all. Okay, so summary of this IPL case, right? Summary, what is the summary? So here we can use economic concept. Okay, now here IPL application, right? And here your numerical example. Okay, so in terms of a demand, first we have analyzed the demand. Okay, we bring the concept of demand and supply. So what is the demand now? Demand is IPL application, number of people waiting to buy a ticket. So one interesting thing is there, if this price is zero, right? If price is zero initially, right? So 13,000 people are there who are waiting in a line to buy a ticket, right? At zero price. Okay. So this is what the willingness of the people to buy a ticket, right? So it means the number of people waiting to buy a ticket. Okay, willingness to buy ticket and waiting. So this demand economic concept is related to IPL concept. Okay. Now the numerical equation here is quantity demanded is equal to 15,000 and minus 1.25 times of P. This is a normal demand equation. Now coming to the second is the supply. How supply is related to IPL application. Supply is related to IPL application with fixed cost, fixed capacity of a stadium, fixed capacity of stadium, right? So this is supply is 5,000 fixed, or you can say it's inelastic in nature. The third concept you understand from here is a market equilibrium. Market equilibrium. Now relate this with a concept of IPL application. The perfect spot. Now we need to find a perfect spot at which we are going to sell whole number of 5,000 seats, right? So this is a point called a market equilibrium, where we are not able, where the people are not able to find even a single empty seats. Okay, no black money, no black money. All seats are booked, right? So for booking this seat, this is a what is a perfect point? Perfect point or equilibrium point we are going to identify from in the terms of application. So what is this? That point was the price was rupees 8,000 and supply was how much? It is 5,000, right? So this is a houseful scenario, right? Now the other concept we understand about the inelastic and elastic, right? So this is you can say price elasticity, the PED concept. We applied the fourth concept we have applied is a PED concept. Okay, where the premier type of people or who are die-hard fan, right? So are coming in elastic demands, right? So you can say VIP seats, right? Or basically those who don't bother about the price hike, or a lover, cricket lover, cricket die-hard lover, right? So these are coming under inelastic, right? So if it is an inelastic, what are the PED value we received is 0.2, right? And revenue rise or price increase will increase the revenue, total revenue increases. Okay, when the price increases. For elastic, what exactly is happening? A general stand where people will say, okay, if the prices are increasing, we are going to watch in a TV. They have the alternative, right? So what is the PED for that? So for that, PED was 1.6, right? Okay, I think it is closed. So for that, the PED was 1.6. So revenue falls when the price hike, right? So at that condition, the PED was so this is so here PED was 1.6, and if the prices increase, so total revenue falls. So this was the case study which combined the topic of demand supply and equilibrium and elastic demand, inelastic demand, right? Yeah, these are the theoretical concepts, but the reality is pretty different, right? In a real life, the situations are different. Okay. So from this concept, you can implement to understand how the demands are elastic and inelastic, right? How the shortages of always shortage of good achieve, there is always shortage of good. No, there is always shortage of good, right? So in that condition, the equilibrium point will shift where the demand. So what exactly the equilibrium point is showing? So it is a shortage of good. If you are getting, if you are understanding from my previous example where I explained the tomato, right? So the equilibrium point is going to shift in that condition. It's because it is dynamic in nature. So fulfill that shortage, right? So the demand fluctuate if you are in equilibrium. That is what we have showed here. Okay, got it? So with this, I am going to complete uh, the topic of your demand and supply, right? And your economics, not a demand supply, your whole economics is completed. I hope you all have enjoyed the sessions for economics, and maybe I'm not sure 100% I'm not saying, but at least I'm able to convey uh, some amount of you can say uh, the information or knowledge with you all, right? It is not something like 100%, but some of the knowledge I am able to share with the concept of this demand and supply, right? So with this, I'm going to complete. If you have any doubt, please ask, and maybe you can just give the feedbacks because this is the end of our session. So what you are thinking about after attending a multiple session from my side, what's your opinion are, right? So you can input your thoughts, right? It will be helpful for improving the course content, right? For the future students, for a future batch, right? Because this is the first batch. If you are going to give some feedbacks, we are able to modify the things, okay, based on your feedbacks. So I hope, like, if somebody want to come up and want to share your thoughts uh, after completing this whole module of economics, what you are thinking about, right? How you are feeling. Yeah, if anybody want to come, they can feel free to come and
Excuse me, sir.
yeah, I think that
Sir, from week 4, there actually is no video content for week 4.
you are not audible. Anshu.
Am I audible now?
Anybody want to come, like they want to share their thoughts, feel free to come, right? Okay, great, fine. Okay, then if nothing is there, so maybe I'll just continue the next topic with you all. That is something related to your Excel. I'm just giving you some insights on the Excel, how you are going to use the Excel for different type of tasks. It is not possible to complete every activities, right? So, but in short session, I just try to understand you, like how you are going to use the Excel. So I have saved one concept from this demand and supply, and the gold prices are increasing, right? So that will be the task. Maybe I'll give it to you all, where I explain you in Excel how the dynamic things are working, how the Excel sheet is there, how the formulas are there, and how it is going to change with respect to time. So if you are getting a time series data, right? So how the time series data is going to create. I'm not going to explain you whole, but I'm going to show you the dashboard, right? And from the dashboard, maybe you can try on your own. So this is the activity I'll give it to you so that you can learn how to make a dynamic dashboard where a live data is changing and it is going to affect your parameters, right? So these are the things, yeah, are question. Great. So hope you are now you are going able to relate the theoretical concept. I didn't cover a lot of theoretical concepts in depth, but I related the theoretical concepts with some application. So it is not you can't say like it is economics. It's application, right? Economic application. concepts of economic applications, where I explain the concept with the help of IPL and 5G things, right? Okay, and Rabuti stalls and all, because I relate these topics so that you will be able to correlate uh, when you are just stepping out of your house, right? So you can correlate the concept of economics with your day-to-day life as well. When you're seeing a business, you can correlate the examples there as well, right? A different cost associated with your production, right? So I hope you all enjoyed the session. That is what exactly my motive was, to deliver something to you all so that you can. I'm not sure like 100% I'm able to deliver, but at least I'm expecting you get insights of economics or a motivation of economics. That is more than enough for me. If you are getting motivated after this session, that is more than enough for me, right? Because if you are getting motivated, you will learn by your own. So I have shown you the path. Now you have to follow the path if you want to go ahead, right? Yeah, yeah. So this is how, because I believe like spoon feeding is not good. So I'm showing you the path. Okay, so this is a path, and I hold your hand up to certain point, and now it's your responsibility to run ahead and win the challenges. Okay. So with this, I'm going to close the session. Right. We'll see you all during our Excel sessions. Right. How the Excel is coming, and at last, after that, at last, I will try to meet you somehow. Right. With bringing some case studies. Okay. So I'll not leave you all in a shorter span of time, right? So I'll just meet you at last when we'll discuss about the case studies and all. Okay. So after then we can wind up the course. Okay. Hopefully I'll able to meet some of you during the next term in BDM project also, right? So these concepts are very important. We have made these concepts in such a way so that you won't find a difficulties in a BDM project, right? You can have understanding of economics, finance, and management when you are interacting with a business owner, right? You have some knowledge in your mind, right? Or you have some understanding of the concept, which build a trust when you are talking to some other person. He'll not think like if you are coming and asking for a data, he'll not think about it. He'll think like the person who is coming to take a data from me, he has a understanding of concepts, right? He is more intelligent than me. He has a lot of knowledge, right? That's why that is a point where he will get convinced and he'll ready to give you a data. Okay. So fine. It's already 10. I don't want to take more time from you guys. Okay. Just have your dinner and enjoy your weekend. Weekend is already gone. So next week, maybe you will get a time to enjoy. So see you all. Bye. See you next week, and then afterwards, I'll see you at last. Okay. See you. Bye bye. Bye bye. Take care.